Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Penn Foster Live. We are so excited to have you all join us today. It is the first one of the year, and we are coming back with one of our most popular guests, Kristen. Kristen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I love this group.
We are so excited to have you join us today. We're going to be talking about jobs, where they are in 2025, tips for interviewing, anything under the sun when it comes to just interview tips, since it's such a hot topic. But with that being said, I'm going to pass it off to Jess to do some reminders.
Thanks, Jenny. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. We're so excited to have Kristen here. And I'm just going to give you a few tips before we jump into our conversation. So first things first is we love to have the conversation with you in the comments. So make sure that you are saying hi, responding to what we're saying, asking questions. However, the comment section is public. So don't post any public information, including your student ID number if you're a current student or anything that is personal information to you. If you are a current student and you have questions about your account, you can get help through your Learner Center. And if you are not a student and you are here learning about Penn Foster and learning about all the opportunities that you could have with a Penn Foster education, and you have questions, you can give us a call at admissions at 1-888-427-6500. And also make sure that you tag anybody in the comments or after the live. Share this with them if they're somebody who is looking to change careers in 2025 and would benefit from all of this information. So on the agenda today, we are going to go over where the jobs are in 2025, tips for applying to new jobs, and also interview tips and tricks with our special guest, Kristen. Kristen, I know you've been here a couple times already, but if you want to just give an intro to you and what you do here at Penn Foster for the audience.
Sure. Thank you so much. I've been with Penn Foster for about 9.5 years. And for the past 4 or 5 years, I've worked in the HR team, working specifically in the talent acquisition group, where we do recruiting for all roles across the organization, from call center roles to executive level roles, whatever roles. So I spend most of my day interviewing people, running through assessments, talking to people about job opportunities, and exciting career changes for them. So that's what I spend most of my time doing, and I'm happy to be able to give you some tips, some tricks, anything that would help support and empower you in feeling successful in your interview journey is what we're going to talk about today. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kristen. And jumping right into our good agenda, what we want to talk about first is where the jobs are in 2025. So I'm going to hand it over to you to let us know what opportunities are available this year, what jobs may be more in demand than others. Take it away.
Sure. Absolutely. So, any job in the healthcare field, like physical therapy, home health aides, medical assistants, it's always going to be a high demand job, a well paying job, a job that's rewarding. You can help people. And like I said, it's not going to be an industry that goes away. So, if you have that nurturing, compassionate side that you want to help people and you want to get into the healthcare industry, look at some of the opportunities in that field, and we have some here we offer as well, to get you on that path to having a long, sustained career. Some of the other things, something a little similar but more with animals, is our veterinary technician program and the veterinary trades as well. Being a veterinary assistant or a technician is a very rewarding job, very long-term career, and many opportunities. There's clinics and medical clinics and hospitals all over the place. So also anything to do with like artificial intelligence or programming and designing, those sort of things, being creative, that's the wave of the future. Last year we weren't talking about it as much. Now we are. We're talking about it a little bit more, right? So if you have that interest in being on the computers and doing something and helping evolve the future, anything with artificial intelligence and learning how to code that and program that would be something that's in high demand as we move forward. Anything with software engineering or that kind of field, very high demand. So did I miss anything? Let me look at my list. Oh, skilled trades, jobs in construction, electrician, plumbing, those kinds of skilled labor trades are very important, are in very high demand. And again, we offer many programs like that, similar to that. Did I miss anything? I'm trying to just think of things, everything I can.
No, I think you covered everything. Everything that I mean, you're the expert, so if you covered it, then we're gonna roll with it. Jenny, do you think anything that Kristen missed there?
No, I think she hit it right on the dot. It sounds like there's a lot of great opportunities in 2025. But mentioning opportunities, a lot of the times when submitting an application, your resume is a big player when it comes to just getting that job and getting it seen by humans. So, Jess and Kristen, I was wondering what are some tips when it comes to applying for jobs? How is it that your resume will stand out to the thousands of other people who might be applying for the same role that you are? Because the market is very competitive. So, how is it that you're going to stand out amongst the crowd and get your foot in the door? I'd love to know what the both of you think.
Well, I can jump in. I'll give a couple tips and then Kristen can let me know what I missed because she is going to be the expert in this area. But what I've learned from not only my experience applying to jobs, but from Kristen over the last couple of years as we've had these sessions, is number one, making sure that you tailor your resume and your cover letter, if necessary, to the job you're applying for. So always take a look back at your resume before you resubmit it for another job to make sure that you are really highlighting the parts of the resume that would relate to the job description that you're applying for. Whether that means rearranging things so that certain skills are higher to the top of a list than others that make more sense. Or simply reordering the order of your resume. Definitely always take a look back at it before you send it in again, especially in between jobs in different fields. And that also comes to reading the job post. So when you read the job post, a lot of times or almost every time there's going to be a job description and job, what's the word I'm looking for? Duties, responsibilities, that one of those two. And that can also help you tailor your resume and your cover letter to speak directly to those things. So I know that those are two big ones. Kristen, what else is there that might be a little bit more insider knowledge?
You're doing great. That was great. So yeah, I could add a little bit more, but you started off great. So yes, you want to be able to customize your resume. And if it means you have 4 different resumes, that's what it means, right? So it's for each job, each industry. The thing that I'm looking for when I'm a recruiter is the skills on the job posting that we need you to have based on what skills are you putting on your resume. So make sure if you look at that job description and you see skills that apply to you that you have, change the wording on your resume to match that job description because you have the skill. You want it to match as much as you possibly can. Not only am I looking at the resume, but it's being run through an applicant tracking system. And so the way we do it at Penn Foster might be completely different at the place you're applying to, right? They're running it through a system that's looking up keywords. Does it match the job description? Does it match the resume? More matches, the better. Goes through to a hiring manager. If you don't have the right words on there, it's going to kick it out. You might not even get the chance to talk to a manager. A manager might not even see it. So you want to give put your best foot forward with one, having a resume that matches skills, but also formatting the resume so it's easy to read. Use bullet points. Don't try to avoid long paragraphs, too much reading. Listen, they're scanning your resume in about 2 to 3 seconds. They're looking for things. They're looking for skills. They're looking for where you've worked, what you've done. So what you want to do is you want to lead with your strengths. If your strengths is your employment history, you're going to put that first. If your strength is that you're a student and you have classes and you've just graduated, you're going to lead with that. And then the education is going to come second. So you're always leading with your strengths and you're listing your skills like Jess mentioned at the top and in matching what the job description is, but only if you have them. Don't be lying on your resume. And if you're not sure how to word things, Google's great. If you're not sure, if we talked about the high demand jobs earlier, if all of those things I said doesn't sound interesting to you, Google some high demand jobs. It will give you some ideas. You can take some tests, some assessments to say, what are you interested in? What are you good at? What would be a good job for you? There's all kinds of things you can do to help steer you in the right direction. What else? Gaps. Try not to leave any gaps in your resume of places you haven't worked, or explain why. You might want to write a cover letter explaining why. But any more that's not as big of a deal. There's a lot of things going on in the world. There's things taking you away. You have school, you have work, you have family. So just be prepared to explain why you didn't have employment for a certain period of time.
Yeah, I think that what you said, Kristen, specifically about possibly looking, because you might have a skill listed that is basically the same skill that is in the job description, and you're like, oh, okay, so here it's listed as this, but I have it listed like this, so they'll get the idea. But if you reword it to match the exact wording that's in the job description, you're not lying, you're just using the term for that skill that the company uses, because there's different verbiage between organizations. So I think that that's a really, really good tip, especially like you said, you're a hiring manager, you're scanning these things so quickly that if they see words that match, that's automatically going to be better for you than them having to say, oh, well, they said they're a good listener or something like that, and we have it listed in a more professional way. So they don't have to do all of that legwork. I really love that.
Yeah.
Those are all really, really great tips, Kristen. Thank you.
Sure. If there's anything else you're thinking I could add to that, if there's any questions, I'll be happy to expand. I know we're trying to cover a lot, so
yeah, this is definitely a what's the word I'm looking for? A accelerated course, if you will.
yeah. And there's one more thing too. When you see a job posting, make sure you thoroughly read all of it before you submit your application. Sometimes there's things in there that they may ask you to do, instructions, directions, things that you need to be aware of, maybe information that you need to know before you submit your application that you're kind of like you're getting into. Make sure you read it all thoroughly before you submit the application. That way everybody's on the same page.
Those are all great tips. Thank you so much, Jess and Kristen. And if any of you guys have any other questions about tips for your resume, please make sure to put it in the comments and we'll try to answer it to the best of our ability. But I love all those tips. Resumes are really a good representation of the work that you've done and your experience. So it's really important to just put everything on there because it's what the employers are seeing within those first 2 to 3 seconds, as you mentioned, Kristen. And after you get your resume done and completed and submitted, fingers crossed you guys get those interviews. But the next part are definitely interviews. And interviews can definitely be scary, especially if you're a nervous person or you're just anxious to really talk to somebody, talk about your experience and your role. I know I sometimes get nervous when I do interviews. You have to think about all the work that you've done in your career, really build off of it and how it translates to the company and why you're a good fit. So, Kristen, I was wondering, do you have any interview tips to really just put your best foot forward and make sure that other employers or your hiring manager, your potential hiring manager knows that you would be the best fit for the role?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the first impression is the resume. Also, one tip about the resume and applying and interviewing is set up a professional email address. And if you don't have one just for work purposes, just set up a professional email address. So that goes on your resume, that goes on your application, and that really gives a great first impression. So they email you, they call you about the interview. It's important that before you get to the interview, you do research on the company. Know what the company is about, know what they do, what is their product, look up their about page, who works there, what do they do, what is their success rate, so that you not only know what you're getting into and talking about, but when they're going to ask you questions, they're going to say, how much do you know about what we do? What do you know about our company? And then you want to also be able to ask questions about it, right? So when you're looking at their website and you're doing some research, jot some questions you might have down for the interview process. That'll help them understand you're engaged, you're motivated. But it's important. Yeah, so it's important you do that. It's important that you um, be yourself, but be an advocate for yourself. Um, Now, you may have to be a little bit out of your shell if you're a very timid and reserved person. This is a time for you to kind of shine with your confidence and uh, be yourself, but put it out there that you're motivated, you're energetic, you want this job, because there could be 30, 40, 50 other people applying for the same position. So they have your resume looks good, they're talking about your skills. Be ready to walk through the things that you've done, the things that you've learned in life, things that you're passionate about, things that make you stand out, like volunteering or going the extra mile for people, or just even any kind of community involvement that you do, um, any kind of classes or training to the side that you've done, or even just one-off classes. Put it on your resume because it shows a desire for you to learn, to grow, to stay engaged. um, Sorry, I had to take a breath for just a second.
No, you're fine. While you're taking your breath, I love that part where you mentioned to just be yourself. I think a lot of the times when people go into interviews, they're so nervous or they feel like they have to keep up a facade to get to that next part of their interview process. But when you're being yourself, it's much easier to have a conversation with the other person, whether it be in person or online, because you're showing that passionate engagement, the things that you do, what you're motivated about, that really shines through when you're being yourself as opposed to being somebody that you think you have to manufacture, if that makes sense. So being yourself is really helpful in these interviews because it's just more natural, if that makes sense at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And then, bring your best self. Dress up, dress professionally, bring your A game, be excited about the opportunity, be appreciative, assume good intentions of everyone, and just be ready to talk about with confidence that you're a good fit. That's what they want to hear. People want to hear you did research about their company, you want to work there, you're going to be a good reliable worker, you're going to show up on time, you're going to be engaged, and you're going to care about the results. That's what they want to hear. And if you can do that in an interview, you'll get the job.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I would just add on to think of it like it's a normal conversation, but you're talking about all the experience that you've had. Conversations, if you frame interviews, really it's you're just talking to another person at the end of the day. So there isn't too much that you should stress about when doing these interviews. Of course, put your best foot forward, but really think about it as just a normal conversation that you would have with anybody else.
Great.
Yeah, I love that, Jenny, because you're right. At the end of the day, we're just people talking to people. And yes, you want to come with your best self, but your best self, part of that is yourself, you as a person. So don't try to show up as somebody different because, if you do get the job, you're spending 40 hours a week with this organization, possibly with the person you're talking to, and you don't want them to be like, oh, they're actually really different than they were in the interview. You know what I mean? You want to be the most authentic version of yourself as you advocate for yourself. So I think that that's absolutely a huge, huge piece of it.
And think of it this way: the interviewer, like me, the recruiter, is looking for the good things about you, right? We're not trying to judge you on find all the bad things to not
Right.
hire. We're looking for the good. We want you to bring your, so be there with it, present it, and because they're rooting for you too. So it's not like it's a judgment or a judging contest where they're like looking for the flaws. No, they're looking for the bring me your best. And so be there authentically, bring your best, and then follow up with an email a day or two after you have your interview. It would be good to send an email to the interviewer. So get their name, email address, just to thank them for their time and express you're still interested. And that goes a long way. It's not required, but it goes a long way.
I would definitely agree there, Kristen.
Those are great. Kristen, I'd love to ask you, when you do these interviews, what types of candidates stand out to you where after the interviews you're like, this person is definitely moving on to the next stage, or wow, that was a great conversation? What is it that people really do at the end of the day that speaks to you?
At the end of the day, like I talk to people who all have like similar skills, right? The person who ends up getting the job is the person that has the attitude that really aligns with our goals on our team. They have a great, like in our case, it's a great attitude about education, lifelong learning, learner outcomes, those sort of things. That's what I'm looking for. But that upbeat, we're a camaraderie here. We're all on team effort. So the person who has like zest for life, motivation for helping others, is really like ready to go is the person who ends up being the front runner because their mind is ready to go too.
I love that. I think that is the perfect just nugget of information that if you take nothing else away from this conversation, everybody listening, take that piece because that is coming straight from the hiring manager's mouth. She knows what these people are looking for. So show up as yourself and be enthusiastic, be authentic, and advocate for yourself. And I think that is the 3 best tips you can probably take from this whole conversation.
Practice. Do it in the mirror if you have to.
Yeah,
Friends.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All of these things definitely go a long way in the long term of you landing that job that you really want. So this it's always an amazing conversation. This one was no different than all of the rest we've had. Kristen, thank you so much for being here. You are absolutely amazing. And if anybody listening has any more questions about Penn Foster and you're interested in possibly enrolling with us, that number again for admissions is 1-888-427-6500. So give us a call. We are waiting to hear from you. And thank you again, Kristen.
Thank you. Thanks so much, everyone.
Yeah, just echoing off of what Jess said, this has been such a great way to kick off the new year. Thank you so much again, Kristen, for joining us today. I really enjoyed our conversation about where the jobs are, interview tips. It's also helpful if any of you are on a new journey, transitioning to a new role, interviewing. We hope these tips really help you today. If you have any other questions, like I mentioned, please make sure to ask them in the comments. But for those of you who are watching, we hope you enjoyed your time. If this was helpful for you, please make sure to send it to a friend that would benefit from it. But until we meet again, bye everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Good luck.